obviously this is our home screen. If you do enroll into our Steelhead accounting, there will be a complete separate module. So that will be under our administration portion. If we dive in here, a couple quick features is we can set up our retained earnings, our fiscal start. So whether it's January, March, whatever it is, you just enter the date, the number, correlation to the month, and then lock our books based on when we want to lock those books through. Account configuration is where we can create our chart of accounts. So just some basics here for our demonstration purposes, but we can create as many accounts as we would like as we build this out. Product account configuration, if anyone is using a integration right now, this ties the product to a specific GL account. Bank accounts, we can connect via Plaid. For this demonstration, we will not be connected via Plaid, so there will be the addition of adding transactions, whether it's a deposit or a withdraw. We also do have the ability to print checks, enter your checkbooks in here, configure the PDF to print from your check printer, stuff like that. I do want to dive into some reports here. So like an AR aging detail report, this report shows us the open AR for different customers tied to the invoice, and then what's due, what's past due, and then their total amount due. So we just have a couple examples in here so we can see if there's two existing, then you can get your total down here. And what's overdue as well. Similar report when we are looking at the AP aging report. We have the current due, overdue, and then it would be filtered by the vendor there. Income statement. So income statement is nice as well. As we all know, we want to see how much money we're making, right, compared to our expenses. So here it divides it up by month. We also have the ability to filter by customer, product, sales order, vendor, whatever you would like. So if we filter by our line 1 product here, we're going to see a breakdown of our income and expenses that are tied directly to that product of line 1. Diving back into AR here. So this is where we can make payment, receive payment for invoices we sent to customers. So here we can see that this invoice is overdue, gives us that red overdue here. It will always filter by due date as well. We can see the outstanding balances, things like that. We can send statements out to our customers as well. So if we wanted to send a statement to ABC Manufacturing, we can filter by that, generate the statement, and then we would do save and send, or just save. But we can effectively send this email out to a customer contact if we would like. And then it does keep track of these statements. If you ever wanted to go back and view that statement file, we can open it up here and then view what that statement is stating if you wanted to compare month over month, things like that. AP is very similar dashboard to the AR. Again, you can see it's filtered by what's due first. We can change this to if we would like. Again, we can make payments if we wanted. So what I'll do is just walk us through a workflow of invoicing to making a payment. So I'm going to create a new invoice for ABC Manufacturing. And we'll select our terms, when we invoiced it at, who we're billing, or where we're billing it to. I'm going to add a new line here. And then I'm going to select that product. We'll just do a quantity of 10. We'll say our unit price is 30. And now that we have that invoice in here, we do need to sync it up with our accounting So if we click that little sync button, it's going to pre-populate some accounts here for us based on the setup we have configured. When we finalize that, that red dot goes away. Now it's over in our accounting system. I can navigate directly to our AR dashboard here with this hyperlink, and we can see our different invoices that are due and when they're due. So this was the invoice I just created. I can pay or receive payment directly for this invoice, or if we wanted to receive multiple invoice payments at once, we can use this one here. For this demo, I'm going to receive payment on this one. And we'll say they are paying via debit card, and it's going to go right into our bank account. And this is just a reference if you want to input here, whether it's a check number or something like that, we can input that here. I'm just going to put DC here for debit card. And then we can apply an early payment discount if we have our terms set up. We would just choose the destination account for the discount. I'm not going to apply that here. Using this arrow, that's going to say, hey, they're paying the total amount here. If they did overpay, we can set up an overpayment memo directly right away. I'm going to hit save here. Kind of gives us a preview of the receipt here. I'm going to go back to AR and then go to our payments. And this is just a preview of the payment. So the total payment was $300, and it's showing that it was deposited into our bank account already. So I'm going to go over to our bank account. And this is where, when we have a plaid set up, that deposit would directly show up in the bank account automatically with that plaid integration. I'm going to add a transaction here of 300, and we'll just say it's a DC payment that occurred today. And now we can see that that deposit populates in here. This status is to show if the bank transaction is matching up with a GL transaction. So when I click on that, we can see that the ABC manufacturing invoice that was paid for $300 is a candidate to match with this transaction. Now we do know that we just received payment for this one, so I am going to go ahead and match that. And we can see that transaction goes away, effectively reconciling that transaction with the GL account.
Hey, Nels, we do have a few
Yeah,
questions.
okay.
So Rob is asking, can copies of the invoices be attached to the invoice entry in Steelhead?
Can copies of the invoices be attached to the invoice entry of Steelhead? Are we looking for like the receive payment aspect of it? I
He
do
said,
apologize.
Rob said, I thought we were entering an AP invoice, not AR.
Okay,
And
okay.
then Candy is asking, after an invoice to a customer has been made and sent, can it be adjusted or changed after it has been sent?
Great question. So if we are here and we look to, so if we're looking at this invoice in particular and we edit this invoice, and instead of the price being $30, maybe we say it's actually 35. We can change that price if we do not sync these invoices or finalize them. So if I hit save there, it's going to come up with that little red icon to say, hey, we have outstanding balance that needs to be written over. And now we can see that instead of the 350 total, it's just going to be the 50 because we already sent over the 300. So that would be the way, if we had to make an edit, that we can adjust that. Now, the one thing is, if we finalize this invoice, now we're not going to be able to make any edits. And then if we did have to make an edit, we would have to void the invoice and then recreate it. Thank you, Morgan. So going back here, looking at the AP here. So AP is a very similar workflow to AR. Instead of creating a bill, um, we create or instead of creating an invoice, we would create a bill. Before jumping into that, looks like Elizabeth has a question here. Can we create a credit memo against an invoice? So in the event that a customer either overpays or you want to create a memo for a customer, we can create memos under AR. We have memos here. If we do a new memo, this is where we would select the customer that we are creating this memo for, choose the address that we want it applied to. We can apply it directly to a specific invoice if you would like to here. So we'll say maybe it's going to go against invoice number 27, and then it's going to go, we'll say this one's for $20, right? And then we do save. And now we can, once we have all the PDFs and everything set up, we can email that out to the customer. And this would all be set up during the deployment process of your accounting platform. So similarly, we can just create a memo that's not tied to an invoice. So if we do that again, and we can put a description there, and we'll just say this is going to ABC Manufacturing in the amount of $50. When we go over to AR, and we'll be receiving payment for this overdue one. To apply the credit memo, we have this applied credit memo or applied memo amount here, and we can apply either one of these. We're just going to apply this $50 credit memo here, and that reduces the amount that they owe to $43.75. And then again, you would want to choose how they are paying, and maybe this time they're paying with cash, and we say save. Again, gives you the receipt, and now that payment amount is the total minus the credit memo there. Great question on how does it show on the statement. If we go to a statement here for ABC Manufacturing, if you recall, there is that $20 credit memo open. It has the outstanding memos when we generate that statement. We will see that it has the outstanding memos here. And if we had typed in a description, that description would pull in there. So now I'm going to jump into the bill aspect of it. We can create a new bill here. We'll say PPG has sent us a bill. We'll input the vendor invoice number, the date that we received this invoice. Our terms would pre-populate the date if we add that line item. We'll say we're purchasing some PPE equipment, and these happen to be safety glasses. We'll select we specifically bought these safety glasses for line 1, and it's a quantity of 1 package, and our unit cost is $15. And we're actually also going to expedite this. So we're going to use our expedite service, and they charge us $35 to expedite this. We can enable creating the journal entries right here. This is not something we have to do, but there is a little checkbox here to allow us to do that. And what that does is it creates those journal entries right away, and we don't have to sync that over to our accounting platform. Jumping over to AP, again, we can see all our open AP. We just created this one, so if I'm going to make a payment on it, we can select how we're going to pay it. If we wanted to pay via check, maybe bank ACH, and this is going to come directly out of our bank account. And we want to pay the total. To answer the question there, Rob, of attaching an actual copy of the invoice to the entry, if you are referring to this screen here, we can upload a file of the invoice right here. If you wanted to upload a file on the bill itself, if we go into bills, we can upload a file here as well. As far as restricting the permission of who can view uploaded files, we do have the ability to restrict who is able to upload and view uploaded files. So making a payment here, back to the make payment screen here, we have the $50 payment amount that we're going to make. Click save there. Again, it's going to give us this little screen here just to view. If you wanted to view that journal entry, we can view that here. Going back to AP, we can view our payments. Similarly, if we received a memo from our customer, we can create the memo in here as well. Going into our bank account, we had that $50 withdrawal come out. So we would want to add that transaction of the withdraw. And we'll just call this a ACH payment, do save, and now we can see that that status comes back to match that transaction to a general ledger transaction. And we can go ahead and match that, and that transaction goes away. A couple other things that we are able to do is a purchase. So a purchase would be where if you went to Home Depot or something like that and we're purchasing something that you don't necessarily receive a bill for, right? So if we do a new purchase here and we're going to purchase from Home Depot, and again, we're going to be paying out of our bank account, and this one's going to be a debit card. This is where we can tie it to whatever expense account is appropriate, put in our total from our receipt. If you wanted to break it down line by line, you can do that. We'll say this is PPE gloves. Again, you can upload the receipt if you would like there, and then hit save. And now you have your purchase amount of $17.32. We would go back to our bank account, add the transaction. This is the part that is done by Plaid when you are connected with Plaid. We'll say this is Home Depot. And again, we get that status to match the transaction. The other thing we can do is with AP, we can make batch payments. This allows us to pay multiple vendors at once. So it pulls up all your open or outstanding AP, and then you would want to choose how you're going to pay them. And then if you had the bank account set up on the vendor, you can actually choose what bank account you're going to be routing that to. So if we wanted to pay this invoice and this invoice, and then we'll just call it batch payment 1. We can go ahead and hit save. Looks like we need the bank account for the vendor. Just create these really quick. Nice thing is we are able to create these directly from the screen if this isn't something you did prior. And then if you wanted to set it as the primary, we can go ahead and do that. And then we hit save there. And now it's just telling us, hey, this is the primary account for this vendor. This is not. Going back to the batch payment, we can preview this, review it. This would be review it, and then we can select our checkbook that we want to print these checks from. And then this would effectively print our checks once we get that all set up, and then we can post that batch payment. That just ensures that if someone creates a batch payment, then we can review that batch payment and then print our checks here. So if we wanted to print these checks out, we could print them once our PDF template is configured.